I wake up in the morning. What am I doing today?
That's what I do. I actually, one of the first things when I wake up in the morning is I go like, okay, what day is it? And then I have to think what's on my calendar. And then I have to think, I actually say my prayer of thank you, God, for waking me up again. And then I tell myself, the world needs you and you need the world, and get your ass out of bed. That's my morning routine.
I love it. I love it.
It's very true. So all right. Well, we're going to dive right in today. My guest is so cool. You will absolutely love him. Marc Zalmanoff, who's got Make America Fit Again and Make Good Choices. I have been threatening, and I need to totally do this, Marc Z, to take a copy of your book and print it on a piece of paper and like tape it to the refrigerator so that every time I open the refrigerator, I read the words, make good choices. And then I'm going to add in Jill, make good choices.
I love it. You know what we should do? Like I should have like magnets with my face and that sit on the fridge and you just push it and then it goes, make good choices. You're like, oh, but I want to eat cake. And then you don't have it because I'm staring back at you.
That's actually a brilliant marketing piece right there. Yeah.
I know people.
Well, tell the world in podcast land, the Jill podcast world listeners, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you are changing the shape of our world.
Yeah. So I'm a coach. Pretty much everything I do in this world revolves around coaching. I've been in the fitness space for 19 years, which is crazy to think that I've been doing what I do for almost 2 decades. I own and operate a gym in Frisco, Texas. I do online coaching. I coach other fitness professionals to help them grow their business. I'm an executive coach for Apex. And, my purpose in life is to leave people better. And what's been really cool about kind of honing in on that over the last few years is that it makes decision making really easy when you're super clear on what you're actually doing in this world. So many of us root our purpose in other things: children, your spouse, your job, money, fame, power, like all those things. But when you root your purpose in the external, you don't have control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because like I'm 42, but I got older kids. Like I have 2 boys and they're almost 20 and 14. So they're like, they're one's out the house. The other one's, he's about to start high school. And you start to understand, like, if I would have put everything that I do into my kids, well, kids leave. Like, hopefully that's what they're supposed to do. Like if we're doing our job right, they go off and they go be productive citizens in the world. But if all your purpose is rooted in your kids, and again, I'm not knocking anybody for saying, oh, I do everything for my kids, but like one day they're gone. Then what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
Then what's your purpose? So my purpose is to leave people better in everything that I do, whether it's the business realm, whether it's my relationships, whether it's my wife, my, people I see at the grocery store, people I see at the gym. I don't care who it is. Like that's the goal. So, who am I? I live with purpose. And I think I live with, a little bit about this. Like I talk about death a lot because we're all going to die. It's like
my line is nobody gets out alive.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, it's like the one thing that truly bonds everyone is that no one gets out of this thing, right? Like at some point, and it could be today, Lord willing, it's like, I don't know, 70 years from now, that's, that would kind of be ideal for me. Put me about 110, 112. I think I could function well then, as long as I'm not in a diaper or whatever. But, it's such a small amount of time when you really think about what we have. Like life is so fleeting, the earth is like billions of years old, which try to wrap your head around that. It doesn't even make any sense. And we're here for such a short amount of time. And, when you get older, I think you gain perspective from the lessons you learn in life. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you take those lessons and you live better because of them. And that's the struggle. To me, that's the real struggle, because we're all taught these things over and over and over again. And some of us get taught the same lesson way more times than we should because we don't pay attention and we keep making the same mistake. And I'm talking about myself, you know. And so hopefully at some point you take your head out of your ass and you're like, oh, that's what I was trying to be taught. Got it. And then you don't have to learn that lesson anymore. Then you can move on and grow. But you know, you get a little bit older and you start to understand what's really important. And to me, that kind of ties into the make good choices thing of like, you know, if you want to live a better life, like if you want a better quality of life, and I'm not talking about money, I'm just talking about joy and fulfillment in your everyday existence, it really revolves around making good choices. You know, it's a universal statement that literally applies to everything you could possibly want and need in life. So there we go. There's your long, giant-winded answer of who am I and what do I do? And I run my mouth on podcasts. That's what I do.
But you know, I love so much of what you just said, you know, the joy and the fulfillment and death and making good choices, because I feel that a lot, like just even in gym class. And you and I've talked before, I do Pure Barre, which is kind of like Pilates, only the music is better. That's my best way of phrasing it. But it's also kind of like, you know, ballet, dance, maybe not ballet, but you know, it's barre, and it is really, really good for muscle shaping. But what I have found is that, you know, as we age, you know, even if we're still healthy, there comes a time where, you know, my knees won't do certain things, or my foot's hurting, or there's this muscle right here in my back that my chiropractor is working on with me. And there's so many things that we do in our younger years that frankly will affect us when we're 60, because I'm 61 and a half. I'm not just 61, I'm 61 and a half. And I was a runner for so long. And now my knees just aren't the same. So running is not my favorite thing to do anymore. It hurts, right? But I will also say I'm trying to teach this younger generation that what you do right now in your 20s and your 30s is going to affect you in your 60s and 70s physically. And so do you ever speak to that sort of training and coaching with the people in your gym?
Yeah, so I have a pretty wide range of people in my gym. Like right now, my youngest client's 18. She's about to go off to college.
Love
and
it.
my oldest client turns 70 this year. And so I have everyone in between. And now, you know, the majority of the people that I coach are similar to me. And I think that's just the nature of the fitness business. Like you attract like. So I have a lot of like 35 to 50-year-old entrepreneurs, business owners, busy people that are starting to get to that point in life where they're like, if I don't take care of this body that I have, then I'm not going to really get to enjoy all this hard work that I put in. And we talk about that all the time, you know, as people trying to, and you know, judge it for what it's worth, but as people trying to make more money, because money does solve some problems, and
It does.
and it can add to joy and fulfillment in life. But if you spend 2-3 decades trying to amass wealth and all you do is work, and you neglect your health, well, you're going to turn around and be in your 50s. And now you're going to give all that money back to doctors and hospitals and pills and knee cream and you know, all the things from not taking care of your body. Now, I will say this though, you know, when we talk about things that happen from activity, so running's a great example. I know a lot of people that ran for a lot of years and their knees are shot and their hips hurt and they got foot problems. But you know what? I would rather have somebody have those problems from activity than what the other side is, which is heart disease and diabetes and high blood pressure and obesity and not being able to function because you sat on your ass for 30 years and did nothing. So I'll take those problems all day long. And you know, anybody that's willing to get up and move, there's a way to move. You know, 19 years in this business, and I know I'm always going to have somebody with a back issue or a shoulder issue or a knee issue or whatever it is. And as long as you're willing to work through those things and trust the process, there's a way to keep moving. You know, we're not meant to roll around in these, you know, little rolly carts. And I mean, you know,
Scooters, the
yeah,
motorized scooter.
150 years ago, you would have been dead. Like, you know, modern medicine keeps a lot of us alive for probably far longer than some people should be. And I mean, that's just the truth.
It's
Like our
true.
life
It's true.
expectancy is, again, there's so many things that would have killed us, you know, 100, 150 years ago that now we can survive those things. But, you know, I look around, like I've talked about my client, Badass Betty, before. So Badass Betty's going to be 69 this month.
Is she the one that does the 15 minutes worth of
15 minutes.
that is commendable. That is so commendable.
I can't do it.
I can't do it. I can barely get through the 90 seconds in gym class. It's awesome. Good for her.
I mean, 15-minute plank. She deadlifts 190 pounds.
Oh
She shows up at 5 a.m. 4 days a week in the gym. And I tell you, like on a weekly basis, she expresses her gratitude for what she's able to do.
Yeah.
Because she's retired. Her and her husband are retired. They have been for years. They have money. You know, they worked hard over the years, and she's enjoying her retirement. And it's not sitting around doing nothing. You know, they do the police academy. They've been to the fire academy. They've been through FEMA training, like just all kind, like anything they could possibly get into. She loves it. And now she's serving in, there's something called an ombudsman, which I had no idea what that was. You ever heard of like court appointed advocates for children?
Okay.
Well, they have the same thing for seniors.
Okay.
So she had to go through all this training, and then she goes into nursing homes and environments like that. And she's an advocate for these senior citizens who don't have people in their life to really watch over them.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, at her age, she's still getting out. She's still being active. She's still serving purpose in this world. And I look at that, I'm like, that's being fit. So when we talk about fit, I don't just mean like, you know, you're strong and you eat well. Like, I mean, emotionally fit. I mean, relationally fit, spiritually fit, financially fit. Like that's true fitness for people. And not enough of us grasp what that really means and how meaningful it can be for your life and the people around you.
That makes perfect sense, dude. That really does. Because there is a huge correlation between the crap in our minds and the emotions there and what that looks like on our body. So when you find somebody who comes to you for help, what do you do first?
You know, I mean, it always starts with a conversation. And to me, I don't have this like extensive set of analysis and all these things. I just talk, like, let's talk.
Right.
So, where have you been? What have you done? What are you looking to accomplish? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Again, because I'm dealing with the majority of my people are 40 and up. So they've done a lot of things over the years. They've tried a lot of different programs. They've tried a lot of different diets. And if I can get them to reflect a little bit, a lot of times they'll start to hone in on, well, you know what? Like when I was eating this way, I felt really, really good. And when I was doing this type of activity, I felt really, really good. My body felt good. And I wanted to go to the gym and I wanted to be active. So initially it's just really fleshing that out and figuring out, okay, who is this person I'm dealing with and why me? You know, why are they coming to me? And a lot of times at this stage of the game, it's because they've tried everything else. They've done all the things and tried all the programs and done the celebrity stuff. And now they're like, I'm still not where I want to be. And, you know, God bless, I've been able to maintain a career for as long as I have because I produce results. But there's a certain type of person that comes to me too. You know, I don't have to motivate my clients. They don't come to me for motivation. They come to me for discipline. They come to me for programming. They come to me for accountability. But I don't have to tell people, hey, you need to do more weight. You know, I got people in the gym that will look at me and go, That was kind of light. And I'm like, yeah, I could tell more. And they'll do it. But that's, again, that's who I'm drawing in. And then once I get with them, then it's really a matter of communication. So, in the gym, it's a little bit easier than online because I'm seeing people face to face. I can watch how someone moves. And it's interesting. I've told several people this recently. The easiest thing I do every day is go to the gym and coach people. It's like second nature to me. I can scan a room of 10 people and be like, hey, keep your head up. Hey, straighten your back. Hey, you need more weight. Hey, you need less weight. Like it doesn't even, it's almost unconscious of just the reaction of how I see things because I've been doing it for so long. That's the easy stuff. It's all the other business stuff that we have to deal with on the back end that, the writing and the paperwork and the merchant processing. And, that's the difficult part, but the actual coaching, oh my gosh, if I could just show up and just do that and somebody else did all the other things for me, that would be fantastic. But it just becomes this constant communication of, hey, how are you feeling? What's going on? Like I got a guy that's brand new to the gym. He's got some back issues. So I'm modifying things for him. But I still need feedback. I still need him to say, hey, that felt good. No problems. Or you come in the next day and go, oh man, I was a little tight, felt a little weird the next day or whatever. And as long as people are communicating with me, I can adapt anything. Again, it's the beauty of doing something for so long. A lot of it's trial by error. A lot of it's solving my own problems. You work out for a couple of decades and you're going to hurt yourself. I mean, it's a given. You're not going to get out unscathed. And so like all the injuries that I've had over the years, I've been able to utilize to help other people as well. So you just amass this wealth of knowledge over time that you don't even realize you have until somebody walks in with a problem. And all of a sudden, like you talk and the solution comes out and you don't even know you're saying it. You're like, oh, that sounded kind of smart there.
I love it. So tell me this. So last year, 2020, when the pandemic hit, and suddenly nobody got to go to the gym anymore, and that's a whole conversation in itself, right? We weren't allowed to go to the gym and we weren't allowed to go to church, but the liquor store was open.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened then when you suddenly couldn't open your gym. I think it was that way in Texas anyway. What did you do when we went into pandemic mode?
So a few things, thankfully I am in Texas. It smells like freedom a lot down here. I do own my gym. So I never fully closed.
Okay, good.
I went in with my wife and a couple other people. We'd go in, and do our own workouts and stuff. But before that, I was doing online coaching already. I have a whole system set up. And, in the beginning, like we didn't know what was going on, right? Like nobody really knew what the real deal was. Nobody knew if it was as contagious and deadly as it was. So at some point I was like, I should probably quote unquote shut down for a little bit and just, ride this thing out. So I basically sent everybody home with equipment. I let them take dumbbells and kettlebells home. And
Cool.
I set everyone up online. So within 48 hours of me going, we should probably take a break, everyone was in my system. Everyone knew where to go. Everyone knew what to look for. And, I run a small facility, meaning like, it's an intimate setting of 5 to 10 people at a time. And we all know each other. Like we're all friends. We hang out outside of there. We've celebrated birthdays and anniversaries and gone on vacations. And so that's the type of community that I have. And, it was about 6 weeks or so, I would do Zoom happy hours and just gather everybody up just to talk. Like it had nothing to do with fitness. It was, hey, I want to see your face, go grab a drink. Let's hang out and chill and chit chat about whatever's going on. And then when I opened back up, number one, everyone was excited to just get back in there. They're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Because I think about half the people probably actually worked out at home. And the other half were like, oh, thanks for giving me some dumbbells. They never did anything with it. But once I opened back up fully, my business grew because other gyms didn't open back up. And I think people were really craving that human interaction. I think a lot of people they underestimated how much they want face-to-face interaction with other human beings. As much as we can live behind the computer and live behind the phone and all that, like we still need human touch. We need to see facial expressions up close and personal. So, I mean, my business exploded last year. It was fantastic. And then I had people reaching out online as well because they realized their gym wasn't going to open back up either. So they were trying to find solutions on how can I work out at home. But, you had two options when the shit hit the fan. You could cower in your house and hide in the corner and just wait for, I don't know what the hell you would be waiting for, because I think there's still some people doing that. Or you look up and go, okay, how can I serve? What can I do? Where's the problems that I can help solve? And I think those of us who thrived last year and into this year are those people. Unfortunately, there weren't enough of us, but we continue to push ahead because we know the world needs strong people. And I'm not patting myself on the back or anything, but there were a lot of people that just folded. And it's not a judgment call. It just is what it is. So I think, those of us who have been gifted to be in a position of leadership, to be in a position of influence, it was our responsibility to step up and just be the light for a lot of people. And if all that means is, I make a funny post on Facebook and somebody who's having a shitty day happens to scroll and see it and they're like, oh, that was actually pretty funny. Just for that moment, that goes back to my whole mission of I want to make people better. So even in that small example like that's what I'm striving for. And I know the ripple effect that those things make. And I never underestimate that because, Jill, like you and I, we'll influence people that we'll never meet, that we'll never know, that we'll never have any idea that they read the book or saw the post or listened to the thing. But everything that we do can be positive for someone somewhere. Yeah. And I think when you wake up in the morning and you go, all right, how can I serve my purpose today? How can I make people better? And you actively seek it, it shows up. Right. It's seek and ye shall find. And I truly believe that. And the inverse of that is also true. When people wake up and they're like, oh man, what's going to go wrong today? And they spill coffee on their shirt and they get a flat tire and they're late to work. And, and people wonder why those things happen. But I'll tell you this, my wife is a manifester. And I used to make fun of her, like, oh yeah, you should go manifest things. But she's like, just put it out there. And after I saw it happen over and over and over again, I'm like, oh man, like she's onto something here. And so, I really just embrace it. And, we pray, we're Christians. So we pray about things. And I don't think that it has to be one or the other. Some people think you're manifesting, like you're speaking to the universe, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You're like, me and Jesus, we're good. He knows my intentions. He knows my heart. And I know that God will give me the path that I need to be on, not necessarily the path I want to be on. But I will continue to pray for the opportunity to serve my role in this world. And I think if more people would just do that, regardless of a pandemic, regardless of a mask mandate, regardless of whether the gyms are open or closed or the liquor stores open or closed, or you can go to a concert or you can't go to a concert. Like if people just woke up and said, you know what, how can I be better today? Like, how can I serve this world today? I mean, we'd solve all the problems. That's utopia. I get it. I understand it's not going to be that way. But, if somebody's listening to this right now that's willing to change the way that they think, then you and I are doing what we're supposed to be doing as well.
But you say, what if everybody did? It's probably not going to happen. But you know what? But what if it did? What if everybody did decide to be better or to do better or to, do an act of kindness? I'm one of those. I know I'm naive and have rose-colored glasses, but I still think it's possible to have world peace. I just do. But it starts within each one of us. And I love how you bring that all around, that emotional, the serving, the gratitude, all of those, they do play a part in our overall fitness.
Yeah. And, I've said this before. I think that I personally cannot change the world, but I can change my world. So I
Right.
can influence the people around me. I can give people better perspective. I can put a smile on people's faces. And if somebody walks into my gym and they're having a crappy day, and by the time they leave, they're too tired to have a crappy day anymore. And I yell out, make good choices as they're walking out, they're like, yeah, 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 and they laugh about it. But if I can change their disposition, and then they leave the gym, they go get some coffee somewhere, and they're a little bit nicer to the person serving them. And that person's a little bit nicer the rest of the day. Like, oh, that person was actually nice to me. They smiled and said hi and said my name. And that was really nice. And it felt good. Like, that's how we change the world. It's those little things. And we need more people to consistently do more of those things.
Yep.
So, I know that I have control over very, very little, but the little I do have control over, I try to grasp with everything I have every day. And that's, I can control my thoughts and I can control my actions. And that's it. I can't control what anybody else does. I can't control the weather, can't control the president. I can't control your attitude or traffic or anything else, but I can control this right here. And so if I can do that powerfully more often, again, then I'm serving my role. I'm serving the mission that I have in this world.
Was there ever a point in time where you were not physically or mentally fit?
Um, I've always been a really happy person. Like, I think if you were to talk to people that I went to high school with, they tell you even then I was kind of, I was a little bit of a class clown. Like, I was always joking around. I was a pretty happy guy. I'm sure there was a time. So I was married, my oldest child, I was married to his mom, and we were super young. I was working 2 jobs, like, not working out. So I'm pretty sure during that phase, I was not in the best of shape. At some point, like, I went to school for kinesiology. So even in college, we were still working out. I don't remember a time that I just didn't work out, but there was definitely a time where I just kind of ate like an asshole. I just, let's be honest with it. The mental side that's a great question, because I think we just grow. We never realize how mentally weak we are until we have perspective on how mentally strong we are now. So I don't know that I would ever look back and go, man, I was really mentally weak there, but I absolutely was, because I know what I'm capable of now. I know how much resolve I have now. I know the integrity and the intention that I live with now. And I can look back and see times that I struggled in life, whether it was in relationships or business or whatever, because I didn't have that, because I was doing whatever the hell I wanted to do. And there was no, there were no parameters for me. There was nobody holding me accountable to anything. And that's why, we talk so much about our network and our people that we surround ourselves with. I got my goon squad, these 5 other men that, a lot of it is we hold each other accountable. Yeah, we make fun of each other and we make crazy memes about each other and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, those are the guys that I go to when I'm having issues. Those are the guys that we lean into each other and go, hey, I'm struggling.
Right.
Hey, I need some perspective. Hey, I need some help. Hey, can you hop on a call with me? And, if we can drop anything that we're doing in that moment and make that happen, we will. And I was missing that for so much of my life. And so I'm so grateful to have it now. And it gives me perspective on, like I said, you could call it weakness, whatever you want, but I know now I am so much mentally stronger than I was before. And I'm not sure I was necessarily mentally weak before, but it's just grown. Like, I've always been a good deadlifter, but at certain times I've been able to deadlift a whole lot more than I could before. And right now it's kind of one of those times, like, I can lift a lot of weight for a little dude. I'm kind of low to the ground. It doesn't have to move very far. I know how to take advantage of it. But so yeah, that's it. No, that's a great question. I like that. Now I'm going to think about that more.
Okay, think about that. So tell me about your biggest oh fuck moment in life.
I think the first one I can think of would probably be like holding my first son for the first time.
Oh,
Like that was the first time I ever held a baby. Like I didn't babysit or anything when I was a kid. So that's the first time I literally held this human being that I helped make. I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah, this is real. Now what do I do? I need another job. How are we gonna pay for all this? Like, I mean, that's a huge one.
that's pretty
Uh,
big. That's a good one.
I don't know that anything really compares to that. When you get some perspective on like business and like at some point you learn you can always make more money. Like you can always start another business. You can always, change and pivot. And, as our friend Jessica says, you can pivot and slay something else. Like, but when it comes to like life, like I don't know that there's ever a bigger moment than that. The first one's definitely different than the second one. So the second time you hold it, your own baby, that's a huge moment too. But that very first time, like, oh my God, this is real now. And you're stupid. Like you're so stupid when you're that young. Like I was 22 when I had my first son. Like, golly, I was an idiot. Like, and honestly, I feel I've told him before, like I feel so bad for a lot of first kids, especially when the parents are young, because we just don't know. Like you don't know anything. And you just fumble your way through and you're like, man, how did I even keep this thing alive? That's pretty impressive, actually. Like I'm very impressed that this human being is still functional at 5 years old. He still like got all his limbs. He hasn't had a concussion that I know of. Like, I mean, that's an accomplishment in and of itself.
I feel you. When I first held my daughter when she was born, and I looked at the doctor, we're in the hospital bed, and I said, "So can you give me any advice?" And he said, "Don't drop the baby." True story. Solid advice. Don't drop the baby.
That is fantastic advice. They don't bounce.
What makes you happy in life? What makes you smile these days?
So I put a distinction between happiness and joy. And I know it may be semantics to some people, and I'm totally fine with that, but I operate with joy. I believe like anybody can be happy in any moment, but to me, joy is that like deep-seated feeling that just truly comes from within. Again, kind of back to the death thing, like, when I think about, so I'll give you an example. This morning I was doing a ridiculous amount of burpees in my gym. And yeah, a lot.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah, everybody's favorite. And I'm a couple hundred in and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sweating. Like I don't have AC in my gym. So I'm just pouring sweat. The sun's kind of beating on me. For some reason, I tried to position the fans on me, but they were just blowing everywhere but on me. But in that moment, I started thinking, there's a lot of people that would be grateful to trade places with me right now, even though I'm doing burpees. There's people that have fought for our country that are missing limbs. There's people that are old and they just can't move that way anymore. There's people that, live in countries where, God, they wish they had some shelter. They wish they had electricity. They wish they had a fan to blow on them when they got a little bit hot. So what the hell am I going to complain about? Like, really? I mean, I'm voluntarily doing these things and I own the gym. So it's my gym. I have a healthy body. I'm physically able to do it. What do I have to complain about? I think most of us, we could walk around every day and complain about 1,000 things, but it doesn't do us any good. Nobody wants to hear it. I sure in the hell don't want to hear myself complaining about anything. And so over time, as I've said before, like you just gain perspective on what really matters. So I wake up in the morning, I'm like, man, I'm grateful for this bed. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for all my crazy ass animals that we have in this house. I'm grateful for my health. I get to wake up and go do things that I love to do. Like I don't dread the day, even though, I get up at 4:30 in the morning and be at the gym at 5. Like I don't dread it. I have great clients. I got people that walk in the door with a smile on their face. good morning. I'm like, hey, look at the crazy stuff we get to do today. Yay, but I've been able to craft a life that really is a joyful existence, and it's purposeful. It didn't just happen. Like, I didn't just fall into this and be like, oh, well, this is really awesome. Like, I still have to work at it, but it's a conscious decision every day to choose that happiness, to choose that joy, despite, because life's always going to give you shit to deal with. I don't care who you are, or what you do, or how much money you make. You're always going to have stuff that comes your way. You're always going to have adversity, but you get to choose how you respond to that adversity. And you can let it beat you down, and you can let it depress you. And again, people are going to do what they're going to do, but I've been blessed to be able to make that decision that I won't let those things bother me, and I won't let those things beat me down. And it's interesting because I've had relationships before where people just don't understand that. Like, well, how come that doesn't bother you? Well, why should it bother me? If it won't matter 5 years from now, it shouldn't matter 5 minutes from now. So why am I going to give that any more thought, time, and energy when I can focus on doing something better? Whether it's me personally or serving in a different manner. So I choose my happiness. I choose my joy. And I think for anyone listening, like, you have that choice as well. I'm not saying it's easy to do. I've had a pretty cush life. Now, if you wrote it on paper, a lot of people would be like, oh man, that's a lot of shit he had to deal with. But like, I never view it that way in the first place. So whether it's, cancer, abuse, like, there's all kinds of stuff that happens to people. But at the end of the day, you still get to choose how you respond to that. You get to choose how you heal. You get to choose whether you go seek counseling and therapy to help heal your brain and your body, or you just ignore it, or you just stuff it down like most guys do. And then it like blows up somewhere else. But all those are decisions that, at some point as a grown ass person, like, you get to make that choice. So that's my happiness. That's my joy. I choose it.
I love it. And you're right. There's a big difference between happy and joy. Joy is deeper. Joy is way deeper. And I can totally see that in you. You have that glow about you.
It's the fancy face wash that my wife buys.
There it is.
I don't know what it is, but it feels great and it makes my skin smooth.
Well, good for you for using that. I bought some cleanser stuff for my man and some sunblock. And the sunblock works great, and he will use that, but he will not use the cleanser. So I'm going to tell him that you do, and that's a good choice.
I use whatever she brings in. That's what I use. Like, she got me this fancy like shaving cream and pre-shave oil and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. And man, it feels amazing. It smells great. And then she's like, ooh, I like the way you smell. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to keep using this.
I
I'm
love
not
that.
stupid.
I love that. So tell everyone, like, if you've got somebody who just really wants to change, what little tweak can they start with in their life to get on a road and a better path?
So it comes back to making a decision. And I always think that's the hardest part of change. It's not the action that needs to be taken. It's not the skill or the tool set or whatever you want to call it. It's the actual decision of saying, I want to change. Because when people don't decide that, and they're just like, I need to lose some weight, and then they start, trying to eat a little bit better and trying to move a little bit more, but they don't actually want to change. They're not ready yet. They haven't made a decision of like, no, I am sick and tired of being this way. I'm going to do something about it. If you haven't made it to that point, whatever changes you're trying to implement in your life, whatever behaviors, you're going to revert back to whatever the bad stuff was. And that's just the reality of it. But the people that decide that enough is enough, I'm tired of being sick and tired, I'm tired of being broke, I'm tired of being in shitty relationships, I'm tired of whatever it may be, the solutions come. And I firmly believe, and the only thing that I have to go off of is just experience with this. But, when we have a problem in our life that we want solved, and we finally decide that we're ready, we're like, all right, this is enough. Like, I'm tired of not having any money at the end of the month. Your subconscious registers that and then begins to problem solve. So you don't know it's happening, but in the back of your mind somewhere, you're trying to come up with the ideas to solve your problem. And then, quote unquote, all of a sudden, you have this idea, right? And we wonder where that comes from. We're like, oh, I don't know. I was just sitting there and all of a sudden this idea came to me and then I took action on it and it actually worked. Well, that was your brain solving the problem. It's just been working in the background for the last whatever time frame it is, last week, last 2 weeks, last 2 months. But like our brains are so powerful. Like we are powerful beings that can solve pretty much anything. I mean, look, a bunch of billionaires just went to space recently. So, surely if those guys can figure that stuff out, we can solve our own little, common problems that we have. But I think it's setting that intention and saying, okay, I need to change, and knowing that you don't need all the answers to do it. That's a fatal mistake that so many of us make. I've made the same mistake. People want to start a business. Well, I got to get a website and I got to get an LLC and I got to get a bank account. I got to do this and I got to do that. Where it's like, well, do you have a product and service that other people will pay money for? Because if you have that, you have a business, and you can figure out all that other stuff later. You can figure it all out as you go. You just got to put it out there.
Yep.
Then people are sitting there, 9 months later and they haven't done anything yet, because they still think they got to have all that list of things. I need a logo. And no, you don't. You don't need any of that. You don't even need a business name. You just need something that other people want and they're willing to pay for it. So, I think that you just you have to decide, and then it's just take one step. As our buddy Thomas Keenan says, small steps forward daily. And man, there's so much truth in that.
Yeah.
For somebody that doesn't work out, and they want to get more active, go walk to the end of your block and come back. And then tomorrow, go do that twice. And then the next day, maybe you walk down and you do a couple of squats at the end of the block, and then you walk back. It's building that habit. That's all it takes. And over time, you become more capable. You understand, I can do more than that. And then you do. But it all goes back to that decision. And if somebody has decided that they want to change, then they'll continue that behavior.
How important is it to have a support team around you? If you're a woman, let's just take me for example. If you're a woman who wants to, shed, and I hate the word lose, because I don't want to fucking find it again, right? If I lose it, I won't find it again, because that happens, right? We get that yo-yo cycle. But let's just say that, a couple in the same home, she wants to shed, 10 pounds, makes the decision, makes the choice, and then has all of these outside forces going, oh, one bite won't hurt you. Oh, you can have a cheat meal. Oh, one drink is okay. Oh, here, let me order that for you.
Yeah.
Talk to us about combating that crap that the people around you maybe don't believe that you're that you really truly want to shed the pounds and get in shape.
So I think it's important to state your goals with your friends. And for a lot of people, it really shows you who your friends really are. So if you go to your friends and you're like, hey, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. And to do that, here's what I'm doing. I'm working out. I'm not drinking for the next 3 months. I'm eating healthier. So when we hang out, that's what you're going to see me doing, period. So you have to be very clear. Again, I think that's step one, where a lot of people make the mistake of just trying to sneak it in there instead of just sharing and saying, hey, here's what I'm working on.
Right.
The right people will support you. They'll be like, okay, cool. And they won't pressure you to drink, and they won't go, oh, it's just one bite. But if you have those people, then honestly, it's time to take stock in those people.
Yeah.
Are they really your friends? Are they really your support system? Now, the big issue is that a lot of times it's your family. It's not your friends. It's like the people that you can't get rid of. So that, that poses a problem, but that's where that other support system really comes into play, and making sure that you have at least a couple of people. You don't need a whole crew of people. Like Jesus had 12, but he really only trusted 2, maybe 3, so he kept his circle super, super tight. I think there's a lesson there. But if you just got a couple people that you can rely on and lean into and go, hey man, again, I'm struggling. I really want to eat some cake. I really want to have a drink. And the right friend will go, yeah, but what's really important? Is the cake more important than your goal? Is the drink more important than your goal? You told me you wanted to lose weight. You told me you were unhappy. You told me it was going to help you increase your confidence. So what really matters? So it's the support system to me is extremely important, but it has to be the right people. And like I said, I think there's a way to weed out the bad ones really, really fast. Because, people, when you get better, it forces people to look in the mirror and ask themselves why they're not getting better. And that's all that really is, that talk about, oh, it's just this, or it's just that, or, oh, don't be so whatever, just have fun. Like that's their own insecurity. That has nothing to do with you. That's them going, well, shit, if you start looking better and you start getting in shape and they don't, then what does it say about them? So that's just them facing their own selves in the mirror.
It puts a little bit more pressure on them. I don't know if you've ever heard me tell the story, but when I was married to Mr. Underwood, there was a point in time, just over the course of life, I really packed on a lot of pounds, and I made that decision one day. It's like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. Everybody was on board. I lost 55 pounds. I looked better than ever. There I was, 50 years old, in the best shape of my life. I should show you the picture. The picture is on my jewelry box in my closet. I mean, you could actually maybe see like one ab. I think I have two in there, but you could only see one, and I was good with that. But it was at that precise moment that I was at my very best that he decided to cheat and go somewhere else. And I couldn't figure it out forever. I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Right. But it really put a lot of pressure on him.
Yep.
Right. And even though he would, tell me and so proud of me and, oh my gosh, but it really wasn't that way. It put more pressure on him to be better and to level up. And he just didn't fucking want to.
Right. Right. It made it. He faced his own insecurities and lost.
Yeah. But all that happens for a reason. And now I just look back and I'm just going to be thankful for the 18 years of amazingness that we had. So that's all we can do, right?
Amen to that.
You have dropped some really, really amazing wisdom and nuggets. And I would really like for everyone to follow Marc Z. Where can we find you, my dear?
So the Facebooks, it's just my name. Like I'm not hard to find.
You're pretty easy.
My last name's Zalmanoff. I'm on there all the time. My Facebook group is the Make America Fit Again Facebook group. My book, Make Good Choices, can be found on the Amazons. And Marc Z Fitness is my gym website. But yeah, I'm not a hard guy to find. Like
I love it. And I really like your book. Your book is very cool. It's very happy like you are. And it correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it like, okay, read this chapter. So it's like every Monday you read the few pages to give you the inspiration for that week.
Yeah, so it's 52 entries. And the reason it was 52 and not 365 is, number one, that would have taken me way longer to write. But I want people to absorb what they're reading. Like, I don't want them to just like, you read a thing and then the next day you read a thing and the next day you read a thing. And even when they're cohesive, like you lose the lesson. So my goal is to really have people contemplate on what they're reading, like absorb it, think about it. And there's a journal prompt with every entry. So there's a thought-provoking question for you to answer, and then go implement that in your life. Go think about what that means to you, whatever the quote is, whatever the lesson is. And then you come back the next week. So in my opinion, that gives people time to go, okay, is this resonating with me? Like, what does this mean? Is it meaningful to me? Do I think this way? Am I avoiding thinking this way? Do I feel, am I up in my feels about this thing? And I just want it to soak in. And, there's a lot of us that read a lot. And I think a lot of it goes in one ear and out the other. So if we can just pause for a moment and slow down just a bit and absorb some content, I think it really makes a difference. And ultimately, the book is called Make Good Choices, and that's what I want to help people do. And I believe that, the content of that book will actually help people do that.
I love it. I love it. Well, bless you for making America fit again, and bless you for telling everybody every day to make good choices. I love your message, and I just think that you are just a gem of the earth. So thank you so, so, so much for being here today. So everyone follow Marc Z, buy his book, listen to his podcast, give us a review, and we will. Any parting words before we go?
Make good choices.
There it is. I love it. Thank you, Marc Z. You're the best ever.
Thanks so much.